Hey guys, it's Skybird, and today we're taking a look at sort of a recap of 2023, including pieces like this one here. It's a bit of a fun video, and I'm really excited to touch on this one because we're not only going to be looking at that, we're going to be taking a look at some fun discoveries made by members of the Discord community or things that I have found while doing research. We're going to talk about specifically this pecan and no other, and of course we're also going to talk about, well, Bionicle stuff in general. So without further ado, just want to say, if you are enjoying this content, make sure you are subscribed. It really helps out the channel, and now more than ever is important because although I don't imagine we could hit 2,000 before the end of the year, there is a possibility. So if you're subscribing now, hey, thanks. If you're not, hey, thanks. All right. With that out of the way, let's take a look at that sword. So, if you're not familiar with this sword here, it is MATA NUI's sword from the Legend Reborn movie. And honestly, I don't know why they gave him a special sword, but didn't give it to us. it was criminal, but it is still a really cool piece, and I love it. This was printed and provided to me for free by King Sidorak. I am not affiliated with their store or anything like that. I don't get any sort of commission on this stuff, but I had a lot of people asking about this. And if you wanted to see me originally unbox this, check out my recent bootleg haul video where this was thrown in as a freebie. I love this piece. I just want to mention right off the bat, they asked me to mention that on the back end of the sword here, although it's a little bit messier on my model, that future models will be a lot cleaner. So if you want to purchase your own, hey, expect that. But even so, even on the back side here, that's pretty clean. Now, I've seen a lot of like 3D prints and stuff like that, or yeah, 3D prints and stuff like that. And I've seen some stuff that's a little bit messy. This is so well done. And what I respect far more than any of that, than any of the piece itself, is that all of these connection points work flawlessly. They're so good. For a 3D printed piece, that's a lot to ask for. And there are a lot of connection points on here. You can see we have an axle hole at the base, and we can slide an axle through there without really any issue. But it's going to stay in place. It's not too loose. It's not too tight. It feels genuinely perfect, and I'm so happy about that. On top of that, the pinhole here can actually fit a stud, which was something I just tested, and I'm really happy about that as well, because that can be quite difficult. Also, of course, can accept friction and frictionless pins, though I don't remember if I tested if the frictionless pins were frictionless. I feel like I should have. I have one right in front of me here from another mechanism, so I'll just use that as an example, because why not? Since I got it, you know? So just, oh yeah, perfect. Frictionless on a frictionless pin. What more can you ask for, you know? So super happy about that. And yeah, like I said, I've tested all of the other connections on this as well. It is genuinely shocking how good the quality of this piece is. So yeah, honestly, just go check it out. If this is something you guys are interested in, like I said, I've gotten a lot of comments on it. That's why I'm showing it in this video. Then I will link the store for this in the description. They have a ton of other stuff as well for sale. Just go check them out, you know, get yourself something for Christmas, I guess. And again, I don't make anything from this. I'm just really pleased with it. With that said, though, I wanted to go ahead and talk about some of the interesting discoveries. None of these were made by me. However, I unfortunately don't have the source for this first one here, just because I kind of learned through it through tertiary sources, so I don't remember who originally found this. And that is that you can take the Ultimate Duma helmet, head, whatever you want to call this piece, and you can actually connect it to a Mari eye stalk. And it's so perfect. Honestly, it's kind of incredible. You just plug in as many axles as you want down there. I'm just using one because it was handy. But literally just connect the Mari eye stalk to a frictionless pin or to a longer axle, so you can connect that to something else later. I'll talk about that in a second. And then you just plop it in there, and it fits so perfectly that even though that is on a pin, there's no rotation in that piece, meaning that I could change it out for an axle instead, put a ball joint back here or a Glatorian neck back here or a socket, whatever, and now I have a head connection. I can change the length of these axles and maybe build a jaw around this. It's so good. How has this not been discovered before? I mean, obviously someone discovered it, but the only like downside, if there is any, that word didn't come out. Downside, if there is any, is this piece right here being available in only one color. Now, of course, I plan on resin casting this piece here in the near future, like I have been doing for Metro eye stalks, but I can still alter the color of this piece to trans orange or trans yellow at the very least, so I can get a little bit more play out of it. I don't mind the trans green though. I think it looks quite nice. Another interesting discovery that was also found had to deal with the Thornax. And this one is actually one I'm kind of excited for, probably more so than I should be, mostly because, as you guys know, if you've been keeping up with my videos recently, I've been sort of developing this Bara Magna world, right, or expanding this world. And a very important projectile for Bara Magna is the Thornax, right? It is essentially a fruit that is sort of the equivalent, if anything, of the Zammer from the years prior. And I say that because they share very similar dimensions, and so they are sort of cross-compatible. That's for a separate video. But someone had asked on the Discord server, you know, what could a character have on them as sort of like a, not a holster, but as something to hold extra Thornax on them, right? The Toa and Nika sets come with their own little magazine, essentially, to carry the extra Zammer on them. So what could a character use to carry Thornax? Well, someone on the server by the name of Jake actually suggested these. If you're not familiar with what these pieces are, they are from Hero Factory's Last Wave, Invasion from Below. Criminally underrated, by the way. I will definitely take a look at that one in a future video. Not a perfect wave by any means, but a really strong year for Hero Factory nonetheless. And this is the egg pod for the jumpers, which I just call the flower, because let's be honest, it's a flower. What's really cool about this piece, though, is that these petals, they can fold down, and then I can bump my microphone. And look what's inside. I have 4 Thornax in there right now. I could probably fit a 5th. And that's without issue, like at all. It's so good. And what I like about this more is that Thornax are fruit in the story. So to see them inside of a flower, that's, come on. Like, you gotta, okay, you might not know this about me, but I have a fond interest in flowers and plants and stuff in general. I grow plants and things outside. I posted a community post about my Monstera putting out new leaves. So like, this jives with me. This resonates. So I do plan on introducing this piece to my molds for 2010, I guess, or my, I'll talk about that in a separate video. I ain't gonna worry about it here, but suffice to say, that is 1 new mold. But you might ask yourself, well, wait, that comes with 2 new molds, right? This piece here was also made for this set. Well, that's true, but I'm not considering that piece. Here's the thing. With my Bara Magna project, I essentially set out a sheet of rules. I don't know what else to call it. I was going to say a set of rules, but I realize how redundant that is. And so because of this, one of the rules that I created for this is that essentially parts that I consider base technic don't count towards my mold cap. This is sort of a freebie, if you will. For one thing, it just allows more creativity for what I'm trying to do. And B, because I think that base technic pieces fill a different role from just being bionicle, right? What is a base technic piece? It is essentially these types of pieces designed pretty much to only interact with axles and pins and sometimes bars on rare occasions. They could be the axles themselves, the pins themselves. The only time where that piece counts towards the mold cap is if it is a piece that LEGO has not yet created. So for example, I have a modified version of this that is just 1/2 of this whole thing. So literally cut right down the middle. It is a super useful piece, especially for locking Technic things together. And that is a piece that I introduced here as well. That counts towards my mold cap because LEGO doesn't make it. Whereas a piece like this, LEGO currently makes. So I'm just taking it from the year it was created and transplanting it into my project freebie. That makes sense? So it's definitely interesting. It gets a little pedantic, a little nitty gritty. I'm not going to get too deep into how those rules work. I'll put out a dedicated video for it in the future once this project is nearing completion, but I'm really happy with it nonetheless. And that is honestly kind of perfect. Not to mention too, that the shaping of this portion here works really well with that pirate, sky pirate theme that I'm going for. Also that steampunk sort of art deco kind of style, just in this little area here, none of the rest of it. But the rest of it still looks really good. So I'm super happy with the piece. I'm going to use it so much. With that said, I also held up a pecan. Why did I do that? Honestly, I don't know. No, actually, I got these yesterday when I went to the store. As I said, I do like plants quite a bit, and so you might not know this about me, but on occasion, especially when it's warmer and not snowing outside, I like to go out and just kind of get out in nature. Right? It's good for me. It's good for my mind, if nothing else. I'm not the type of person that believes in like yes, anything healing you or nothing like that, but it is always good to at least get yourself away from the things that are bothering you, that are stressing you out, right? And nature's a good way enough to do that and to kill some time, right? Well, interestingly, where I live in the Midwestern United States, these pecans are actually native. In fact, it is where they come from. And that's pretty cool because I have actually found pecan trees out in the wild. And oh boy, first of all, favorite. They're so good. There's something about, but like wild pecans specifically are much better than store-bought. Not that store-bought are bad or anything. These are kind of like buttery. Those are more like the ones I find in the wild have like a intense like maple syrup flavor. Not every one of them, but when you get just the right one, ooh, you know, it's that meme, right? The what is it? Kronk doing the whole anyway. Oh. Maybe I should get an editor. Anyway, no, so I'm super happy with this, but it has definitely been an interesting year. I've had a lot of people ask me questions about, well, a lot of things, honestly, about YouTube, about, well, the builds, what my intentions are with this whole project. And honestly, it's just kind of doing what I love, you know? I don't think I do anything that I do to really appease others. And I feel like I've been there at some point in my life, of course, but it's the most freeing, the most fun when what you're doing for yourself, right? And so that's honestly why I do this. You know, I had someone comment on a recent video sort of jokingly like, oh, you're putting out like 3 videos a day and talking fast, lower the amphetamine dosage or whatever. And first of all, no, this is just me being super passionate about the things I talk about. The closest thing I get to anything that makes me go faster is caffeine, I guess. And even then I take breaks from that. But no, it's just, I think when you're truly passionate about something, it really exudes. You know, it really shines. And so like when I made the Perditus recolor back there, yeah, there were people that had issues with it. No big deal, because we're all going to have issues. We all have different tastes and things. I proposed the idea of introducing Makuta or a Makuta like character for the Bara Magna project. And you know, obviously some people were like, oh, maybe don't do that, which is fair. But here's the thing too, is like I'm not as entrenched in the Bionicle lore as a lot of people are, even though I've been with Bionicle pretty much its entire lifespan, my entire life, of course. The details, the lore can get to be really deep to a point where I think it can be a detriment sometimes. And I think that there are obviously going to be people like in any fandom that are going to defend it because it's the thing that they spent a lot of time enjoying, right? And so they have to sort of validate that joy by protecting it, I guess. But the thing is, like, the wonderful part about worlds, real or fantasy, is that you're really the only person that colors your perspective, right? There's this theory out there that people have talked about, like how you can never know that you see things the same way somebody else does because you don't see as them. And usually this is boiled down to just color, right? You can never tell somebody what the color pink is. You can only associate pink with a thing and hope they agree with you, but you don't know if what they're seeing is your blue or your green, but they just know it as pink because it's been pink to them all their life. That's the thing. Which one of you are wrong in that case? Neither. Whether or not the color has changed, whether or not the perception has changed, you both have a different definition, are looking for different things, and there's validity in that. Bionicle is the same way. All fandoms are the same way to some degree. And so I try my best here to sort of build a very laid back, a very respectable community, and a community full of support. I've had few, if any, truly like negative comments on YouTube, Discord, elsewhere, mostly because I don't try to go around and associate with people that do that, I guess. I don't know. I think it's maybe partially a waste of time for people to do that. But also just because I think when you're of a certain mindset, you start to seek out people of a similar mindset too. That can be a bit of a downfall if you don't know that's what you're doing, but when you're aware of that, it's like this symbiotic relationship, you know, as you sort of build up your community, as you are passionate about the things you enjoy, you will attract passionate people who admire that quality about you because maybe they can relate, perhaps not to the exact same thing you're passionate about, but because something else, because we're all human, you know. It's the human condition is to love things, is to be interested in things. Sometimes it's shallow or whatever, and I don't even know if I'm the right person to say that, but it doesn't matter, right? Because so long as you enjoy doing the things you do, the pace at which you work is gonna sort of find itself. So anyway, I'll get a little bit of an I need to swallow my words here for a minute. I get a little bit on a tangent here, as you can tell. But yeah, it's been a fun year. I have really enjoyed it. These last 2 months have absolutely blown by like crazy fast. It's insane. Part of that's obviously the YouTube stuff, of course. I don't think I've ever noticed how fast it goes though. And it's crazy, but 2024 is right around the corner. Hopefully it holds good things for us, hopefully for the community as well. And if you guys did enjoy this content, then make sure you are subscribed. It really helps the channel out. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below on anything we've talked about here today. Again, link for that sword, or if not the sword itself, then at the very least the store where you can find it should be in the description below. And you can also check out Discord, Instagram, and Patreon if you want to support the channel and get some perks, also in the description. And I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.